Holiday Lake is rustic. You have a lot of people that's, oh no, we don't want to camp at Holiday Lake because, the cabins, there's no AC, anything like that. But to me, Holiday Lake is true camping.
Being able to have friends that understand like the trials and tribulations of what I do, and being able to confide in them when things are good or when things are not so good, has really been important, especially for the comfort level.
4-H has definitely helped change my perspective on life because of the fact that without 4-H, I most likely would not be where I'm at today or like be able to do the stuff that I'm doing now.
Home, family, and love. That's what Holiday Lake means. Malika Walton. I am from a little town called Skipworth, which is in Mecklenburg County. I'm an associate extension agent with 4-H Youth Development. Well, I love camp. Any extension agent would tell you, especially around our area, Malika just loves camp. We don't know why, but that's why I learned a lot of my leadership skills. Camp. I was a camper. I was a team leader. Became an adult volunteer, and then of course rolling over to an agent. So I learned a lot of life skills. Learned to be a role model. Learned to be a mentor. Honestly, if it wasn't for camp, I probably wouldn't be the adult that I am today, because I learned a lot of responsibility through camp.
Hello, my name is Darreon Barner, and I am from Brunswick County, Virginia. Camp has definitely helped shape me into the leader I am today with a lot of stuff that I'm doing, because I've also started my mentorship program for youth in my county. And like with me also working at the local elementary schools as well. Being at camp helped me in those spaces, whether it's leadership, organization, time management, and confidence. 4-H camp has definitely shaped the way I am today.
Hi, my name is Trayvon Jones. I am from Brunswick County, Virginia. My very first time at Holiday Lake was when I was a third grader. I had went on a field trip to Holiday Lake and I loved it. When I went to camp for my very first time, it was like, it just gave me a little bit of individuality. It was just to be able to leave my norm, to be away from home, and specifically just to be away from my parents and learn how to be by myself and take care of myself.
My name is Tyler Chealing. I am the program director at Holiday Lake 4-H Educational Center. We do summer camps, and so my camp name is Flick. I tell people the story. I never came to camp as a camper. I only came as a teen. That was my first involvement with camp. And camp has helped me grow as a person through self-confidence. Camp was the first thing that I ever did that I knew that I was good at. And that did a lot for me, knowing that there are things that I don't need reassurance from other people to know that I'm good at. And I think that really helped me. So I'd probably say my self-confidence on a personal level. From a professional standpoint, being a program director, I've never been a very organized person. I'm still not a very organized person. However, I know what system works for me now. And I know how to get the job done and how to at least use my system to help communicate that to others.
My second year, which was the year that I planned and got a bunch of kids. So I did have a youth that the parents did not let us know in the health history form that she had, some behavioral issues and stuff like that. And I feel that the parents did not let us know that, thinking that we would turn the youth away, which that's not even the case. Like, we need to know these behaviors so we can better help the youth. But it was just, the youth just was, coming at other kids from other counties and, trying to manipulate them to do stuff for her. And it was just, the last straw. And so I had to call Dad and say, hey, she's still not listening and stuff like that. So you need to come and get her. And well, when I let her know that Dad was coming, she pretty much, lashed out on me, some volunteers and stuff. And so we had to pretty much lock her down in the office and get her to calm down. She threatened me, threatened my coworkers, threatened other volunteers. But thankfully, one of the volunteers that we had, had a counseling background and was able to, calm her down and keep her calm until mom and dad got there and stuff like that. So, I mean, that was a tough situation. I look at it as my initiation into extension. But, I learned a lot from that. Now, moving forward, definitely stressing the parents. I need to know about certain behaviors. We're not going to turn your kid away, but it'll just better, help prepare them for camp. And I would say another challenge is being the extension agent in the county. Like Brunswick is a rural county. The youth that come with us are primarily Black African American, and them too have, some of them come with some unique behaviors, and the staff just not really knowing how to work with youth from Brunswick County, and that has been a challenge. But luckily, with conversation with the program director and other staff, we're moving in the right direction.
I would say professionally, being a full-time employee, have been navigating the cultural challenges that are working with the diverse youth that we have in our service area. We serve anywhere between Brunswick County, Mecklenburg County on the North Carolina line, all the way up into Greene County, which is just outside the Shenandoah Valley. And so navigating that and making sure that our programs are appropriate for so many different demographics has definitely been a challenge. And so making sure to stay in tune and build those significant relationships with the people of those places, and understanding the cultures in order to better program for them and give them a more appropriate experience here at camp.
Learning more about shooting sports, because before getting involved in 4-H, I didn't do anything with archery or working with firearms or anything like that. So with 4-H, learning all of the shooting sports stuff was definitely out of my comfort zone. And learning the archery and rifle and stuff like that, it's better with shooting sports moving forward, and being able to let parents know, hey, we do teach youth how to use the bows and the firearms safely. There's nothing to worry about. So yeah, I would say just, with all the shooting sports stuff.
It was definitely this past summer when I became a camp staff at Holiday Lake, and just being in front of all the children, which I'm not really used to doing, and being a camp staff definitely helped me gain better leadership and confidence skills, because I could really never get in front of a huge crowd of over 200 kids and yell and scream and just take initiative and be assertive and whatnot. And that definitely took me outside of my comfort zone, because I've always, to be honest, been a quiet person, or not really necessarily a quiet person, but I've only been like that with people that I'm around.
I feel like I step out of my comfort zone every day, especially when I'm programming. It can be really tough to be a strong person for so many people. I think that's uncomfortable. However, finding that comfort in my position has been something that I've been very fortunate to develop over the years. But I would say something uncomfortable would be having all of that pressure on you as a person to care for so many people at the same time. Talking with parents, I explain to them that I care for their kids in the same way that I think that they care for their kids. And I think that's reassuring to them, but also that puts a lot of pressure on us.
What sets Holiday Lake different from all the others is, Holiday Lake is rustic. You have a lot of people that's, oh no, we don't want to camp at Holiday Lake because, the cabins, there's no AC, anything like that. But to me, Holiday Lake is true camping. You're staying in that cabin. You don't know if that cabin is going to have, a spider or, a skunk up under it, snake up under it, what have you. But that's what makes Holiday Lake Holiday Lake. It's the true, it's true camping, being rustic. We ain't going there, for no AC. We're going to sweat it out. Had them box fans up in the cabins. But two of my closest, best friends now are extension agents, and we all met each other within. When we met each other, one was an emergency hire, the other one was a program assistant, and I had just, applied. Uh, and then lo and behold, one got officially hired, then another one got hired, and the third month I got hired. And so, you know, I remember us having a conversation on the dock at Holiday Lake about how all three of us wanted to become 4-H agents. And next thing you know, all of us became, and we've been thick as thieves ever since then. And we we call ourselves, the Powerpuff agents.
This past summer as well, I basically met I basically got to work with one of my closest friends as of right now. Her name is Serenity, and she was a camp staff as well last summer and the previous summer before that. So I met her when I was a teen, and then got to work with her the next summer as a camp staff. And she definitely helped me like get adjusted into being camp staff, and just like being able to talk with her almost every single day and be able to like vent and tell her about the things that I want to get better at, or like the ways she said she thinks I could get better at. Friendships have definitely made a huge impact, and then not just with Serenity, but with friends that I've made like within my county, within my within my county's 4-H club. They've definitely helped make 4-H home, and whenever I'm able to see them, I'm very ecstatic, and because it's just like it's always a good time when we get together. So a camp tradition that definitely best that represents Holiday Lake is definitely the candle light, the candle lighting after our evening campfire on Thursdays most weeks, and like seeing all the emotion and knowing that this may be your last campfire, this may be the camper's last campfire. You probably never see the camper again, and just like being able to spend that time with them, expressing your emotions to them, whether it's a camper to a teen, teen to teen, camp staff to camp staff, or teen to camp staff, or what have you. That's definitely an experience that I believe that's unique to Holiday Lake. One moment at camp I would never forget is definitely me being at the Gaga pit, and then then like just starting conversation with this little camper. From there, it was literally a connection and bond that I really wasn't expecting, and that definitely made me feel like I was doing something right. That is a memory that most likely won't forget.
One good time I remember at camp was my first year, and I remember just making all these friends. It was like I made friends with one of my bestest friends now, sister. I had became friends with people that were older than me I could look up to.
My 4-H agent, who passed away last year, has made the biggest impact on my 4-H journey. I never thought I would be a 4-H agent when I was in college. I actually wanted to be a pharmacist, and then I decided I didn't want to be a pharmacist because I didn't want to do the extra schooling, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And so I took a little break, decided to get my master's in nutrition, still not knowing really what I wanted to do. And then my 4-H agent just was in my ear, and I still, again, like I don't want to be a 4-H agent. My 4-H agent saw a lot of me that I did not see in myself. And even before he passed, we talked about, my next step, would it be, transferring back home, or, moving up to something else. And I do remember him saying, Malika, I can see you as, a district director. And I'm just like, nah, I'm happy where I'm at. But I don't know what the future holds.
The person that's made the biggest impact on my journey would definitely be my 4-H agent, Malika Walton. She's the reason that I even got back in 4-H in the first place, because one day I saw on Facebook a Google Doc about teen applications, and I got my friend to apply with me. And then next thing you know, I got a text message from her while I was in school, and my mom told me that she had talked to Malika while a Virginia State University's truck or something was outside the high school during this time. And from that moment on, got to a meeting after soccer practice, and the next thing you know, 2 to 3 years later, I've made a connection with her. She's become one of my role models, and she's definitely become my 4-H mom. 4-H has definitely helped change my perspective on life because of the fact that without 4-H, I most likely would not be where I'm at today, or like be able to do the stuff that I'm doing now and be comfortable in the stuff that I'm doing now as well, because of the simple fact that 4-H gave me skills that I did not have beforehand. Like I've competed in many competitions, like in public speaking competition at a 4-H contest, and camp staff and being a team. All of those things together helped shape me and allowed me to bring those skills into everything else I do in everyday life.
I learned a lot from my coworkers, and not just my coworkers. I learned a lot from the youth. And I think about my upbringing compared to some of the youth that I work with, and it does open my eyes to a lot. I was raised by a single parent, and so that didn't affect me. I actually thrived from that. But I know that there are kids out here being raised by single parents, and it really is affecting them in all sorts of types of ways, mentally, their behaviors. And so here a lot lately, I've been thinking a lot about that, and I know that those type of youth, they need 4-H. Holiday Lake to me means home, family, and love.
Holiday Lake 4-H camp is definitely home.
Being able to have friends that understand like the trials and tribulations of what I do, and being able to confide in them when things are good or when things are not so good, has really been important, especially for the comfort level.
Home, family, and love. That's what Holiday Lake means